What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video, and just know that we're bringing back my boy Low back on the show. People asked about you. I mean, the video got like 7,000 hits. People want you back on for a part 2, so by popular demand, brother, you're back. You're still in the halfway house. What's going on? You all right?
Yeah, everything's good, man. I'm just hanging out, trying to get used to this new life I'm living.
So look, I know you're in your cell right now, and I hear that banging noise, right? And we're probably gonna have a bunch of banging on this video, but tell the people what that banging noise is.
The banging noise is the radiator. You know, out here in New York City, everything is still steam heat, so you got to deal with this knocking from the radiator.
Man, I remember days of being in Elmira, days in Comstock. That thing would be starting knocking in the middle of the night. Bang, 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 bang. And you can't even sleep.
It does it all night. All day, all night. Whenever it's on, it knocks constantly.
You ever had to heat up hot water on that thing in prison, like in Elmira or downstate or anything like that?
Absolutely. You put it in the bag, tie it up, and just throw it on the radiator. About 45 minutes to an hour, you got a nice hot meal, just like a microwave.
Crazy life to live. I've been telling people I was going to do a little prison cooking thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fry some rice or some angel hair pasta with iron and show people how we really cook in federal prison now that they took the microwaves.
Oh, yeah, I use the desk.
Hey, man, there's all kinds of ways, right?
Yeah, I used to scrape the paint off the desk and use the desk as a griddle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so look, man, a couple things I want to talk to you about, right? I know in the last video we had talked about the Muslim dude that he went in on the cop over there at Canaan, right?
Allenwood. That was at Allenwood.
I was in Allenwood. I remember after we did the interview, I did go back and read, that article, some of that stuff. What happened with that situation, man?
Okay, so we come out at about 6 o'clock in the morning. We came out at 6 in the morning, and within like 10 minutes, we had, the disturbance response team coming in with the guns out, locking us down. We didn't even hear any deuces go off. No cops really started running. And then all of a sudden, the DCT, which is the disturbance team, come running into the unit, locking everybody down. So we knew something serious had happened. We just didn't know what it was at that minute. So basically what happened was the Muslim guy came out of the cell, and while the officer was walking around to open every door, because they open each door individually, I guess he had come out of the cell and came up behind him and just started stabbing him up. One of the other officers that was on the unit hit the alarm. They came in. One of the officers, I believe that worked in laundry or some shit like that, big stocky guy, tackles the inmate that has the knife, gets on top of him, starts pummeling him, beating on him. And another officer comes, takes the knife from the inmate, and actually started stabbing the inmate with the knife. And this is a real story, true story. Those officers got in a lot of trouble. The FBI came in, doing a lot of investigation work behind it. Another female staff member tries to grab the knife from the officer now that's stabbing the inmate, and she ends up getting stabbed in the process as well.
So dude was just on some crazy shit and just wanted to hit them up, or did he feel like they were harassing him? There's
a couple of different stories that go around. He was a terrorist guy from Canada, and they say that one of the officers had moved his Quran during a cell search, and that's what it all stemmed from.
There's definitely people in there that look for reasons just to snap. You ever see dudes just snap? Like crazy dudes are just like screaming in the unit or running. I've seen dudes run around naked, bro. Like run up and down the steps with no clothes on. I've seen people just scream in the middle of the night. Ah! You seen that stuff over there?
I've definitely seen it, but a majority of the time it comes from people smoking K2. I've never really, I don't know if these people are just crazy when they smoke the K2 or if they're just playing crazy, but I've seen a guy jump off the top tier straight onto the ping pong table. I've seen a bunch of crazy, stupid stuff. Another guy run into the officer station, go in there, start screaming, "You know who the fuck I am? Get me out of here!" Just all that dumb stuff.
Hey, that K2, man, that's a pandemic in there, isn't it?
Yeah. That K2 is terrible. And if I could have made a rule against it, I would have, but,
Yeah. So, listen. When people, I want to talk a little bit about that because, some people don't understand. And, again, they hear that banging noise in the back, but we're taking them inside prison right now. They get to experience what we experience. That's what you have to listen to when you're trying to sleep at night.
You'll definitely experience that inside yourself. especially in the open.
Do you feel like K2 is the new crack in prison?
Absolutely. I mean, these guys will literally sell everything they have.
Have you seen people go without soap and deodorant and stuff like that just so they could get high for the moment?
Absolutely. I've seen people sell their whole tray in a shoe just to get a piece of kid food. And you know, in a shoe you're starving. So for you to sell your food in the shoe, there's definitely some mental disorder going on there because I'm not selling nothing.
Definitely not. What about holiday trays? I mean, we're getting ready to come up on Christmas. Usually those are the only, I mean, to me, man, the food sucks. Even the holiday trays suck, but they're a little bit better sometimes. You seen people sell their Christmas trays?
I think people sell their Christmas trays, their Christmas bags. I mean, everything.
Man, I used to feel bad, man, when dudes would sell their Christmas tray, man. It used to make me feel like, damn, bro, this dude just don't even care about nothing. Don't even want to eat his food. Don't want to eat his little Christmas bag that they give away for free. The dude has nothing, but he'd rather give that stuff up to get high for what, 20, 30 minutes?
About, and then they're right back selling something again to try to get another one.
When we talk about the mental health thing, right? We talk about some dudes are crazy in there. Have you seen dudes that aren't on K2 that are just absolutely nuts?
I mean, yeah, I've seen people that definitely need psych meds. There was actually a guy in Allenwood that we used to call Gunslinger. This dude used to tell some of the most incredible stories I've ever heard in my life about just crazy things about how Donald Trump works for him and he can't have Biden become president and all this crazy off the wall stuff. He was a Marine 1 minute, then he was a Blood, then he was a Latin King. He had like 75 personalities. And, you know, we kind of just had to sit him in the corner because he was a white guy. We're like, look, man, please just stay right here and don't start any problems for us.
Did he ever get? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What was that?
Did he ever get out of line with other people where you guys had to intervene?
No, thank God. But it came close a few times. But what I did was I just went around the unit and I spoke to everybody like, look, man, this dude is shot out. Don't listen to anything that he says. He's not going to get disrespectful, but he will tell you some crazy off the wall stories about how he's the big homie, he's the top king, he's a Marine, he's everything. Just take it with a grain of salt and keep it pushing. You know what I mean? He never really got too out of line, but he definitely had 75 different people inside of him for sure.
So I want people to know about that, right? That the Federal Bureau of Prisons will take a dude like that, and instead of putting him in a prison where he probably belongs, they'll just throw him in general population where it could create a problem, where it could turn into, you know, people dying. It could turn into a race riot where he disrespects a black dude and you told the black dude, like, look, man, dude's crazy. And he's like, man, I don't give a shit if he's crazy, bro. He disrespected me. And then it becomes a big thing, right?
That's exactly what could happen, and that's what we were afraid of. When he first came in, we actually were thinking, we kind of pulled everybody together and took a vote on what we should do because we knew that he was going to be a liability, but we gave him a chance, and he only had 2 months to go home, which is why we gave him a chance.
Yeah.
Basically, we just told him, look, bro, just please stay in this corner and just hang out, do your last little 2 months and get up out of here. He'd already been smoked off the yard in McCreary, Beaumont, and there was one other place that he got hit off the yard too. I don't remember what the third place was, but he definitely got hit off Beaumont and Canaan Yard. He came to us from Canaan. And this guy was so shot out that he couldn't figure out why his release date kept changing. So he's got all these assault shots and fighting shots. And he's like, every time I get to a new prison, my release date keeps getting further and further back. And, you know, I'm trying to explain to him, yeah, you're losing good time. But, you know, he couldn't comprehend what was going on. So he thought that, you know, the prison was against him and they just kept pushing his date back for no reason.
Yeah, hey, man, ain't no way you can kick that thing or something. It's all good, man.
It's got like a guard over it. Otherwise, I would have poured water on it by now.
Yeah, it's all good. So look, man, I'm going to talk a little bit about that dude, right? I mean, he's been beat off the yard. He kept getting rode up. Mental health patient. I mean, there's places where, you know, he's white. White dudes would have killed him, man. I've been in prisons where, you know, like, you know, we did the SAC stuff the other day, where them SAC dudes might have hit him up. Honestly, if he'd have came to a prison that I was at and he only had 2 months left, man, bro, I would have made a different decision than you. I would have probably sent him up top, man, just to avoid any issues with us, with the car, because you don't need people like that around. I've seen things escalate with dudes like that. We had a dude in Big Sandy named Martin. And that's why I asked about, you know, you ever see dudes come out naked? Martin was in the step-down unit. Do you know what a step down unit is? When you go to the hole and then you get out, you go to a step down. That's the thing they used to do, right? They should do a step down unit. And Martin was in the step down unit, came out butt naked. He was the orderly. He started mopping the floor naked, and one of the armed dudes were like, "Yo, bro, like, hey, go in your cell, man. Don't do that." He's like, "Oh, man, when you come out, fuck you, what's up?" And then the armed dudes had to come out and do some stuff to him because they were disrespected.
Yeah, that was why we pulled everybody together and just kind of said, look, man, this dude is shot out. We were already locked down because of COVID, so he didn't really get very long to be around people. He was only out for an hour a day. So, it was a different scenario. Now, if the yard would have been completely open, we probably would have just got rid of him. But because we were locked down, and we really only had to deal with him for 1 hour, and it was only, half a range. So what's that, 17 cells, So it wasn't a situation where he was going to be around so many people at once. Otherwise, we would have definitely got rid of him. He could have definitely caused some problems, race riots, just because of the things that he would say, And I don't even think he really comprehends what he's saying. He was one of those people that's really actually crazy and will tell you, I'm not crazy, these people are crazy.
It's just, I'm not saying your decision was wrong. I would have probably made a different decision. But, being locked down, you want to try to give the guy, benefit of the doubt, not lock him in a cell. Where was he from? What state?
He was from Alabama. So it made it worse because you could barely understand what he was saying to begin with.
How old was he?
He was probably about early 40s, maybe.
That might be Martin. I think Martin was from Alabama. Is he tall, skinny, white dude?
Nah, he was
Okay.
he was maybe like 5'8" and stocky, pretty stocky.
So, prison is a kind of like a mental health institution at times for some people, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
They just dump these people, people that they could refer to as undesirables. They just dump them in a housing unit, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, USP Allenwood is a care level 3. So for people that don't know, that there's different levels of care and level 3 psych. There's only 3 level 3 psych facilities in the country. California has Victorville, Florida has Coleman 1, and USP Allenwood, aside from, the dropout yards.
I'm not saying this in a derogatory way or a disrespectful way, but sometimes when you had crazy dudes in the unit, right? Did they make you laugh sometimes? Like, man, look at this dude, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely. There was actually a kid at USP Allenwood from Pennsylvania. No, was he? Yeah, he was from DC actually. He was from DC, and the kid was completely shot out. He would, it looked like a K2 episode, where they started acting crazy and dancing and just laughing and talking to themselves. Well, this dude would do that pretty much 24/7, and he would walk around singing, but he would have his headphones on his ears, and he'd be swinging the wire like this, so he's not listening to music, but he'd be out there singing and dancing and just swinging this wire, And it looked like he was having a full-blown K2 episode, but he wasn't. He was a psych patient.
Listen, you come across as a pretty intelligent dude, right? So I'm going to ask you this. Being all the time that you spent in prison, I did that top 5 most dangerous gangs in prison the other day. Who do you think was the most dangerous prison gang in the prisons that you've been at?
Dangerous prison gang. So it's a gang that formed in prison, not so much a street gang or anything like that.
It could be a street. Some the Mexican mafia is both in the street and in prison. The Serenos, it could be.
I'm talking about ones that formed in prison. So I think you're pretty accurate with the California Mexican mafia, because Texas has one also. But I would say you're probably accurate on the California MA. And the reason being is because, like you said, them dudes are super militant, and it doesn't matter if one of their guys is going home tomorrow. If they order them to go and stab an officer, they are going to do it 100%. No questions asked.
Without a shadow of a doubt, right?
That's my personal opinion, and that's from what I've seen. Them guys are super militant, and they are on go time all the time.
Some people got mad. They were like, man, the DC car, man. But I had wrote the dudes back, was like, look, man, the DC car to me wasn't the most vicious and brutal car or gang in prison, because
they're the biggest. They're definitely the biggest most of the time, but I wouldn't say that they're on that type of level.
Yeah, they're not just going around just stabbing dudes and just, what I mean? They're just not doing it, bro.
Matter of fact, they just got tore up in that that riot that I was just telling you about that happened at Allenwood, they got tore up by the Muslims, bro. They got tore up.
So the Muslims jumped on. I know we talked about that. The Muslims jumped on the DC dudes, and the DC dudes didn't come out on top.
No, they definitely didn't.
New York State Prison. You did time over there. The Bloods. Are they the biggest gang in New York State Prison?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. There's when you walk into a housing unit, more than half of the unit will probably be Bloods.
You ever been there when you ever hear them at night when they do that roll call thing? They're like, roll call. One dude's yelling, then the rest of them are like, 5 alive.
Yeah. Most of the time I hear it in the shoe, but yeah, I've heard it on the yard too.
When I was in Comstock, right? I want to say that was in what, 90, 97, 98, 99. They used to do that, man. They'd have the whole house, the whole prison. I mean, one dude, and this is a big prison. One dude would yell, and then the rest of them would yell back. Then he'd yell again, the rest would yell back. And it was just like, man, it was like kind of exciting, man. I hate to say it that way, but it used to be like, damn, man. And I was a kid, man. I used to get hyped up off it. You ever get hyped up off things in prison? Like when they're shooting out on the yards, that stuff hype you up?
Oh, yeah. When most of the time when that would happen, I would be in a shoe. Like when somebody starts kicking the door or flooding because the officers are not giving them something. And, one thing I can say about the United States penitentiaries is there is a lot of unity. So, I'll give you a story. We were in a shoe, we were locked down, and, every so often we get a hot meal instead of the boxes. I think it's supposed to be every 3 days, but they push it to every 5 days for the most part. So on the 5th day, we were supposed to get a hot meal. Well, what they did was they didn't give us a hot meal. They gave us salad in a hot meal tray, right? So obviously everybody's like kicking the door. No, we want a hot meal. Where's our hot meal? And to make a long story short, they that's all you get. You know what I mean? A box and that's what you guys are getting. So obviously everybody on the gallery said, man, fuck that, board up. So, all the white guys boarded up. For those of you that don't know, that's covering your window where the officers can't see in. That becomes a safety issue and a security issue for them. So they'll have to come with lieutenants and try to talk you into bringing it down, but nobody brings it down. So I think we were I was on B range at that time, and we yelled downstairs because in the vents you could yell downstairs. We got A range to do it and B range to do it. So everybody boarded up, and basically what they did was they came and they teamed the entire shoe. So every single cell got teamed. It was like a 5-hour ordeal. And we said, if one person gets teamed, everybody gets teamed. So it was like a 5-hour ordeal. And finally, I was like in the middle. So I was probably like 6th or 7th to get teamed on that. And, the entire A and B range got teamed. Nobody backed down, nobody uncovered. And we still didn't get a hot meal, but, it was just, once one thing starts going, everybody goes, and it just boosts all, as they're getting closer, you're in there with your cellie yelling at each other, we're going to get them. And, it definitely kicks up the adrenaline and gives you something to do for a day.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, man. Getting teamed. Tell the people exactly what getting teamed is.
Getting teamed is not fun. Okay, that OC spray, for people that have not experienced it, it is pretty bad, man. In fact, I know when I was in NTC, they actually killed somebody with the OC spray, spraying too much into the cell. He ended up not being able to breathe and ended up passing away. But so being teamed is, it can happen a few ways, but we'll tell you the scenario for when you have your window blocked. They'll come to the cell door with, a lieutenant and, guys in riot gear with the shields and all that kind of stuff. So they'll try and get you to remove the covering on the window. Basically, just tell them, I'm not uncovering the window. And after a while, they'll do what's called a cell extraction. So they come running in all behind each other, pushing that shield. They'll jump on you, spray, and pretty much beat the hell out of you for about 45 seconds, moving the camera around like this. Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Meanwhile, you're not resisting. But once you get hit with that spray, you can't breathe, you can't see. It's instant snot. Down to the floor like that in a split second. You can't breathe, you can't see. It's pretty terrible. In fact, that's the worst thing about getting into a fight too. But so basically, they'll cuff you up, bring you down to medical, make sure that there's no injuries. Of course, you're not going to report injuries. And that's pretty much what being teamed is.
You ever see a dude make a mask, a gas mask? I'm gonna put a picture on the thumbnail, I think, of a
Oh yeah.
gas mask made by a prisoner.
When you're waiting for them to come in, a lot of things that I would do sometimes is I would put a lot of water and soap on the floor so that they would be slipping a little bit when they come try to charge in. I would put water and soap on the floor, and you tie the t-shirt around your face with a little bit of water on it. It makes it a little bit harder to breathe in the particles from the OC shirt.
I'm gonna send you a picture after this interview, and I'm gonna put it on the thumbnail, I think, of a dude that made an actual gas mask in the ADX, so that when they come in to team them, they can fight back. They got that on. And then there was this kid named Mark Jordan. When he was in ADX, he had busted the window out, and they sprayed the gas in there. He was waiting to get teamed, like he was hyped up, wanted to fight the cops. They sprayed the gas in there. He had the window covered up. When they ran in there, he had the window knocked out of the back of the cell, man. He's the only prisoner to ever do that, and he's in the ADX. And he was just breathing out of that. When they came in, he turned around and started fighting. Have you seen? Go ahead.
I don't like it when you cover that window.
Have you seen dudes that go hard though, even though they get sprayed, they're fighting the cops?
Yeah, actually, I know of a kid from Pennsylvania that set his whole entire cell on fire, waiting for them to come in, and that happened while I was there. So what he did was he barricaded the door with as much garbage and I guess he had saved a whole bunch of newspapers and collected a whole bunch of books and extra sheets. He was fishing in the extra sheets off the range. And he just basically had a collection of all kinds of things that are burned because, basically all it is concrete. So he had to accumulate enough junk to be able to set a fire. And what he did was he covered up his window and waited until they were basically about to come in, and he set the entire cell on fire. But where he made a mistake was he went into the shower. And, the shower is just basically a little tin. Basically, it turned into an oven for him. And, about 5 minutes into it, he was screaming, "Get me out! Get me out!" Because he was basically cooking himself. He went into that little metal shower, you know what I mean? And the whole entire cell is blazing. And here he is in this little metal box, basically cooking himself. But he definitely went hard that day.
I never seen no one, want to get teamed and then light the cell on fire. What was that? So when they ran in there, they get burned up?
Yeah, I don't know what really he was thinking. He was just, at that time, he had a lot of time to do, and he was just acting reckless. He was one of those guys that would gas the police. You know what I'm saying? When the slot would open, he'd throw feces on and stuff like that. And I guess he, after being teamed so many times, he was like, okay, I got something for you this time. You're not gonna be able to get in here. And so he thought that basically he was gonna light this fire, and they weren't gonna be able to come in. But really, all they did was just stand there and watch it burn. And he's over there asking, put it out. And they're like, I would just sit here and wait till it goes out. You lit it. He ended up getting a new parts for that too.
They would let him die in there though, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so they team you. They team you. And when they team you, what happens? Because the whole range is getting teamed. What do they do with you? Do they take you to rec cages? What do they do?
Well, you're going in paper for sure after that. So I'll tell you the end of the story for when we all got teamed. There wasn't really anywhere for them to put everybody, so they took us out individually, stripped us, put us in paper. Basically, being put in paper is when they take all your clothes and they give you basically, it's not like actual paper. It's like kind of like this stuff, like how the masks are. These masks, it's kind of like this material, and so that's all you get. You get no sheets, no blankets, no socks, no underwear, no t-shirt, no boxers. Everything is made out of that fabric right there, the same as the masks. And usually it'll be about a week or 5 days that they leave you in paper. Some people get put in restraints, like if there's a staff assault, they'll 4-punch you or put you in ambulatory restraints, which is the chain around your waist with handcuffs.
And leave you in the cell with a chain and handcuffs, and you're cuffed to your side.
Yeah, you can be left like that for 72 hours.
You talked about the 4-point. We're going to get back to that paper suit in a minute, but you talked about 4-pointing people. Tell the people what 4-pointing is, how miserable it is.
It's pretty terrible because if you got to go to the bathroom, basically you're going to the bathroom by yourself. They're not coming in. They're just going to come in every hour and do a restraint check, make sure that your cuffs are still locked, basically. Not check how tight they are because they don't care. I give you a situation when I was in ambulatory restraints and my hands were basically purple for 2 days. And I would say, man, come on, these they're too tight. And they'd be like, oh, you're fine, and just walk out. And in fact, because before they put you in ambulatory restraints, they have to take you to medical. Medical has to assess you, and they do your blood pressure and stuff like that. And they'll say, check because it's on camera. They'll tell the nurse to check the restraints for circulation. And the nurse actually said they're a little too tight. And the officer was like, okay, let's go, and just turned around and walked me out. And I'm like, oh, they said they're too tight. And they just kept walking and left them like that. I couldn't feel my hands for probably about 2 months. They were all tingly for about 2 months after that.
I've been in paper and I've been cuffed behind my back, man, for like 10 hours. It killed my shoulders, man. So
yeah.
That paper suit, you don't get cold when you got that on, right?
Won't get cold? Man, not only do you get cold, but I mean, the cells are already cold to begin with, because for whatever reason, I don't know if they do it on purpose or what, but them cells are like, they're vicious, man. They're definitely, even in the summertime, you're freezing.
You ever feel like in prison that, prisoners figure out a way to one up the staff and the administration, then the administration figures out a way to one up the prisoners? Like with that paper suit, they're like, oh, we're complying with the law. We know you're freezing in there, but the law says we got to put something on you. We gave you a paper suit. You're good.
Yeah. Well, and then also on the range, it'll always be warmer than it is in the cell. You know what I mean? Because the cell has those vents and they're blowing ice cold air. And then out there on the range, it has its vents and it's not blowing ice cold air. So I remember one time during the winter, I was back there in the shoe and we had no heat. I'm talking no heat. The vents were blowing ice cold air. It's like 10 degrees outside. And, every Thursday when they do mainline, we're on the door and we're telling, the captain, like, man, listen, it's freezing back here. Just give us an extra blanket. I mean, give us something, because it's freezing. We don't have any clothes, you know what I mean? You got a jumper, a pair of boxers, and a pair of socks, bro. That's what you got. So you don't have any clothes. It's freezing cold. It's very uncomfortable. And we're over there asking, hey, man, can we at least get an extra blanket, anything? And they're like, oh, I'm wearing a T-shirt. It's warm. And we're like, yeah, you're out there, man. Come in this cell. It's about 30 degrees colder in this cell.
Get to a point where no one cares about you, right?
Yeah, they don't care.
Would you say prison is a lonely, a sad, depressing place?
Absolutely.
Christmas is coming, man. How you used to feel on Christmas when Christmas rolled around?
Well, after so many years of going through it, you kind of basically, like, holidays become meaningless. It's just another day, because there's no difference on Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, birthday. They're all the same day. So after a while, you just pretty much, you don't even think about the holidays. You just kind of put it out. You don't want to think about it, because once you start thinking about it, that's when, your mind starts really, really traveling. You get to thinking about family and the things that you're missing out on and the things that you've lost out on. And that can be a real big problem in prison, because now you're in one of those moods where you're already on edge. Now you're boiling with anger. Somebody says something today that they said yesterday that you didn't have a problem with it yesterday, but now today you want to stab this guy, because it just puts you in one of those moods where you're really on edge. You're angry. You're upset, and any little thing will set you off. So the holidays, a lot of things end up happening because of that right there, those triggers.
So you try to forget about Christmas and Thanksgiving and things like that, but I'm sure it pops up in your mind, right? It used to pop up in mine.
Yeah. I used to try not to think about it too much. Obviously, on Christmas, when I did have a phone, I would call home. I'd try to catch the family together. But once I lost my phones and all that stuff, it was almost like it was easier, because now I don't have to call and experience what I'm missing out on. You know what I mean? It's just another day. But yeah, the holidays in prison are definitely some of the hardest times.
I don't know how many people are going to listen to this all the way through, but if they do, they hear that banging, right? And I just want them to know, man, we're giving them a part of prison. They hear prison stories. They watch prison YouTube channels. Some people might be reminded that we're in prison, but that's what it is, man, in the wintertime, all night long. Can't sleep. You're restless. You want to figure out how to turn the thing off. Sometimes they don't go off, but it is what it is, man. They're experiencing it with us, right? And I mean, you're still at the halfway house. It's still prison, man. You're still being held against your will, man.
Yeah. It's still in the BOP. If I were to walk away, I'd be an escapee from federal prison. So it's definitely still considered a prison.
So now, before we close, you're home for Christmas this year. How's it feel to be home, man?
It feels great, man. You know, I finally get to spend time with my family during the holidays after, missing 7 Christmases. So it's definitely feels great. And I'll be out of the halfway house by then too. So
Good. Does Christmas feel a little better now? You want to know about it? You want to be reminded by it?
yeah, absolutely. Now I'm happy to share the holidays, but inside there, you want to do as much as you can to forget about it. And once one is over, you start counting. Okay, I got 3 Christmas left, 2 more Christmases, 1 more Christmas. That's kind of how you do your countdown.
That's what's up. Hey, listen, man, I'm gonna close the show, but is there anything you want to say before we go? And again, man, I appreciate you coming back on and letting people experience this and see things through your eyes.
I just want to say, like we always say, man, just try to envision the things that you've been through and make your decision on whether you want to experience it yourself or just sit here and listen to the things that we tell you, because you'll experience it through the things that we tell you. You don't have to go through it yourself, man, because once you've gone through it yourself, you'll see it definitely changes you. Even though you try to do good, you still have that demon inside of you because it just doesn't leave. The things that you experience definitely change you. You become so desensitized to certain things that it's not good, man.
Definitely not, man. Again, bro, I appreciate you coming on Blood on the Razor Wire TV. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and share the video. Until tomorrow, with respect, we're out.